Cam Baduki III, a 6'5", 245 quarterback that's best known for throwing that ball on the run, and he will run through you when he put that ball on the ground. And when he's running, you better watch out because it's like a train coming through. As you can see, he run him over and he will keep on going. Look at him. He will break some more tackles, another one, and he's going to break another one. They finally bring him down. Going into his senior season with 0 offers, he is hungry to catch his first offer. And as you can see, he is like Superman when he dive in that air and he will go up for 6. Going into my first game against Druid Hill, started off intense. On 1st and 10, we had a read option. As you can see, I hit that hole and I will run that ball as hard as I can. And I was trying to get to that end zone. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I roll out of that pocket and you can see how much of a monster I am as I throw it on the run and complete the first down. And I was not playing. Now, I've been slept on all my life, so I have some type of chip on my shoulder, but I juke get up that field with bad intentions and almost try to run him over but get the first. On 1st and goal, I have a read option and I will walk in that end zone. Weighing in at 245 as a quarterback is a perk. I could just run over people just like that and get up that field and I break a tackle, and as you can see, I break another one and almost break for 6. Not only that I'm good on my legs, but on 3rd and 12, I have a bomb arm, and as you can see, I throw a dot and he breaks a tackle and he will go all the way for 6. We're up 28-3 and we have a read option and I break a tackle on 1st and 10, and as you can see, I have one man to beat and I will throw him off of me and throw him off of me. I was not playing. But going into the next play on 1st and 10, I find a running back right across the middle for a touchdown. I want to be a great quarterback at the next level. You have to be able to put dots in here just like that and fit a ball wherever you want to put it. Cam Baduki III could do it all, but as you can see on 1st and 10, he finds his wide receiver in the back corner for a touchdown. But as you can see, we're going to win the game, and I end the game off of 5 total TDs and 283 yards. I'm finally getting what I prayed for. I picked up some entrance offers in Duke, UCF, and Florida Atlantic. Coming into our next game against 0-1 West Augusta, started off intense on 1st and 10. As you can see, I tucked that ball and ran it up the middle, and boom, this linebacker, he needs to get in the weight room. Cam Baduki III, being the athlete that he is, on 1st and 10, he rolls out of that pocket and he finds the wide receiver and throws a dot, but the wide receiver gets boomed. As you can see, on 1st and goal, I somehow get this ball to the running back and he will go in for 6. Here, as you can see, on 2nd and 10, I'm sitting in that pocket, the offensive line is blocking, but I complete the pass to Alex Howell and he will break a tackle and go for some more yards. Going to that next play, we have a boom! Oh my God, on 2nd and 15, I will go out juke and I will break another tackle and hit that outside, and I could get to that first down with bad intention. I'm just throwing them off of Getting down to that goal line on 3rd and 5, as you can see, I was being patient and found them in the back of the end zone for 6. I'm just a pure athlete on 1st and goal. As you can see, I break a tackle, and every time I'm finna come down, I pitch the ball somehow, some way in time. But on 2nd and 2, look how I sit in that pocket and sling that ball all the way down the field to Craig Ostrander for 6. But on 2nd and goal, as you can see, I roll out of that pocket and I have one man to run over, so I try to hurl, but he picks me up and drop. But I just wasn't going out like that. On 1st and goal, oh my God, I hit him with a spin and go in for 6, and I was fired up with my teammates. And as you can see, we going to win the game, and I end the game off of 5 total TDs and 407 yards. Finally got what I've been dreaming for. I mean, after all the hard nights, I was just out there working by myself. I picked up an offer from Georgia State and Florida Atlantic. Into our next game against 0-2 Riverdale, started off intense. We had a read option, and on 1st and 10, I hit that outside, and as you can see, I had one man to beat, and I will get tackled, but that was a 34-yard rush. Things started to get a little shaky. On 1st and goal, as you can see, I threw off of my back foot, and I threw my first interception of my senior season. And I just wasn't being Cam Baduki III. I wasn't being patient. On 1st and 10, we have a read option, and as you can see, I hit that inside, and I broke a tackle and almost went in. Going into the next play on 2nd and 10, oh my God, look at the rainbow on the ball as he got completed the thin win, and he will go all the way for 6. Here, as you can see, on 2nd and 10, I roll out of that pocket, and you know I'm the most dangerous when I roll out, and as you can see, I juke, and I was out of bounds. I was almost gone. On 4th and 4, Cam Baduki III read the defense, and it was a cover 2, and it was wide open for 6. Going into the next play on 3rd and goal, as you can see, I roll out of that pocket again, and I will go downhill and almost run him over and going for 6, but we go on to win the ball game, and I end the game off of 3 total TDs and 245 yards. And as you can see, I pick up a dream come true offer from East Carolina. Into our next game against 2-1 Evans, started off intense. We had a read option, and as you can see, I ran into my O-lineman, but I break a tackle and I almost break for 6, but I get brought down. These defenses are really having trouble bringing me down, but on 3rd and goal, as you can see, I run that ball, and as I will run through him to get in that box for 6. But just look how athletic Cam Baduki III is. He breaks one tackle and they are rallying to that ball. He dumps it off to the running back, and he will almost go get that first down, but he didn't. And I told you Cam Baduki III is a problem rolling out of that pocket as he dot him up in the back of the end end zone. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I don't know what this defense was doing, and their safeties were nowhere to be found, as our wide receiver will sneak out of there and he will go all the way for 6. But we were up 41-3, but I still made a mistake. I fumbled that ball, but we recovered it. But as you can see, we going to win the game, and I ended the game off with 6 total TDs and 406 yards. As you can see, I pick up 3 offers from Auburn, UCLA, and Vanderbilt. Going into our next game against 4-0 Chamblee, started off intense. As you can see, on 3rd and 6, I started it off rolling out of that pocket and threw a bomb down the field, and he caught that ball, and I was not playing. Coach said, let's come out and take the momentum early, so I threw a dot to Alex Howell across the middle. He takes it for 6. Here, as you can see, on 2nd and 10, I almost got caught up with the D-line, but I found Craig Ostrander to catch that ball, and he almost went in for 6. But he got tackled, but on 1st and goal, you know I gave it off to the halfback for a tutty. We were not playing, but going into the next drive on 1st and goal, Cam Paducah, the third, rolls out of the pocket and goes in for 6, and he was fired up. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I roll out of that pocket again. You know I'm amazing doing it, and I somehow, some way completed this pass to the wide receiver. I don't know how I did it, and he will take it for 6. We win the game, and I get player of the game with 6 total TDs and 373 yards, and I also pick up a dream come true offer from Wake Forest. I mean, I've been dreaming about this. Going into our next game against 1-4 Tucoya, started off intense. On 3rd and 22, I connected with them, win for a pretty large gang, and as you can see, he breaks a tackle and get up that sideline, but he gets tackled. Here, as you can see, as we drive down that field on 2nd and 11, I roll out of that pocket and dot him up for a touchdown, and I was not playing. Driving back down the field on 1st and goal, I roll out of that pocket again, and I totally made the wrong mistake by throwing an interception to the opposite team. That's my 2nd interception of my senior season. But going into the next play on 1st and 10, I roll out of that pocket again, and I will get loose on that ground. I juke, but I go out of bounds. Cam Paducah the third, as you can see, he rolls out of that pocket, and he is wide open. The wide receiver absolutely burnt him. Weighing 245, you better get out of my way when I roll out of that pocket on 1st and 10. I bend the corner, and as you can see, I have 2 mans to beat, but I run through one of them. Going into the 4th quarter, 3rd and 5, Cam Paducah the third finds the wide receiver across the middle for the touchdown. We were fired up, but as you can see, we go on and win the ball game, and I get player of the game with 6 total TDs and 425 yards. I pick up my first Power 5 offer from Ohio State. Coming into our next game against 2-4 Newman, started off intense. On 1st and 10, as you can see, Cam Paducah the third rolled out of that pocket, and he just threw it all the way across the field, and he will catch that ball, and as you can see, he gets up the field, and he will go break a tackle, break another tackle, but he gets brought down. On 1st and goal, you know who's getting that ball. Cam Paducah the third will run it in for 6, and he's not playing. Driving down the field on the next drive on 1st and 10, we have a read out, and I boom him and almost go in for 6. I'm the biggest quarterback in high school football, so that 245 is going to be hard to bring down, but I connect with Alex Howell across the middle. Going into the next play on 2nd and 12, I roll out of that pocket, but I'm not going to lie, this linebacker came down and boom me, and I did not like that at all. And I wanted my revenge, so on 2nd and 8, I rolled out of that pocket, and it wasn't on the ground, but I made sure to do it with my arm, and I connected with a touchdown. We're going to win the game, and I end the game off with 6 total TDs and 379 yards. Pick up a pretty good offer from Wisconsin. Going into our next game against 5-2 Dublin, started off intense. As you can see, Cam Paducah the third roll out of that pocket, and he will get loose. As you can see, he hit that sideline, but they finally bring him down. Here, as you can see, on 3rd and 12, he's fighting pressure with pressure as he outruns this D lineman and completes the pass to Alex Howell, and he will take it for a big gain. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, as you can see, I complete a dot across the middle for a touchdown. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I roll out of that pocket, and my tight end is wide open, and he catch that ball, and he will hit that sideline, and as you can see, he breaks a tackle, but he steps out. On 1st and 10, I try to throw a rainbow pass, but this DB absolutely ball hawked the ball and intercepted it off, and he almost returned it for 6, but we brought him down. I mean, I was absolutely in distraught, but going into the next play on 1st and goal, I threw a dot to the corner. He caught it for a TD. Here, as you can see, going to the next drive on 2nd and 4, I roll out of that pocket, and I will walk into the end zone, and I told them boys, this is my house. As you can see, we going to win the game, and I end the game off for 6 total TDs and 328 yards, and I pick up an offer from Stanford. Going into our next game against 5-2 Fort Valley, didn't start off so well. I mean, I got drilled the first play of the game, and I didn't like that. As you can see, on 3rd and 10, I don't know what was going on with Cam Paducah the third, but he couldn't complete any passes. Here, as you can see, on 3rd and 3, I was standing patient in the pocket, and I threw a dot to the wide receiver, but he dropped the ball. 1st and goal, you know who's gonna tote that ball, and Cam Paducah the third as he hurdles in there. Going into the next play on 3rd and 3, I made a big mistake. I should have checked it down to my running back, but I threw a deep ball instead, and it got intercepted. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, I had a read option, and Cam Paducah the third throws him off of him, and he will hit that hole, and he could go all the way, but they bring him down, but he gets back up, but his knee hit the ground, so the ref called it dead. I was absolutely fired up, but going into the next play on 2nd and 3, I throw a dot to the back corner end zone for a TD, and we go on to win the game. game, and I ended the game off with 3 total TDs and 269 yards. I talked to Coach Saban and picked up a crazy offer from Alabama Crimson Tide to our round 3 playoff game against Doc Junction, and it's either advance to that national championship or go home. But as you can see, I started off intense as I toted that ball and passed that first down and lowered my shoulder. And I was coming for respect, but on 1st and 10, as you can see, I thought I had my wide receiver wide open, but the DB jumped the ball, and it was not going so good to start the game off. And after that interception, things took a left turn. On 1st and 10, as you can see, the D lineman hit me, and it caused another interception, and things weren't going our way. Going into the next play on 2nd and 17, I rolled out of that pocket, and I mean, the D line was swarming that ball, so I got hit for a tackle for loss. Here, as you can see, on 3rd and 13, I just cannot find any receivers open or do anything with the ball, so as you can see, I get dumped by the linebacker, and I wasn't having it anymore. 3rd and 5, I want to change, so as you can see, we're down by 3, and I throw a dot to a thin win, and he catches that ball and gets tackled. Do anything to put points on the board for my team, so we have a read option. As you can see, I will get that first down and more, almost. I get tackled, but going into the next play on 1st and 10, as you can see, I throw a dot to the receiver, and the DB ball hawks it, but he didn't, and the wide receiver catches the ball, and he will go all the way for 6. And going into the next play, I said I wanted change. On 2nd and 10, I throw a dot to him again, and he catches another one for 6. And that takes the game to 17-14 in the 4th quarter with 39 seconds to go, and I throw a dot, and it gets ball hawked by the DB, and I mean, he breaks a tackle when I come in and try to tackle him, but that lost us the game. And that one's gonna hurt, but I pick up an extreme offer from Georgia, but now I'm faced with the biggest decision of my life. I got all of these Power 5 offers. Coming in my senior year, I had 0 offers. It never thought I would turn something into this. But after facing the biggest decision of my life, I chose to commit to UCLA. It's always been a dream to go to LA and play football there. But there was one problem. Cam Baduki III was not starting, so he has to come here and earn his respect. I went into my first practice as a 2nd string quarterback for UCLA. Start off intense. The wide receiver catch a crazy catch. You know Cam Baduki III is a problem when he rolls out of that pocket, and he threw a dot, but the wide receiver dropped the ball. That's not a good look for me. To get coach's trust up, we have to be able to connect. But going into the next play, as you can see, I will put that ball on that ground, and I will lower that shoulder, and you can get up that field. Cam Baduki III might be a freshman, but he isn't scared. As you can see, he rolls out of that pocket again, and this wide receiver put a block on his DB, and I went in for 6. The coach told me to keep working, but I'm just not ready to challenge that next string just yet. Going into our first game against Nevada, did not start off so well. I mean, being a 2nd string quarterback, you just have to sit on the bench and watch the other quarterback do his thing, but my time is coming. When I get that chance, there's no looking back. I'm telling you, when I'm coming, I'm coming. Coaches finally called my number to come in to hold the ball for the kicker, but that was really it. I had no stats on the game. Going into our next practice and still being 2nd string on that depth chart, I have to come out here and impress coach some more. So as you can see, I put that ball on the ground, and as you can see, he tripped me up, but I catch my step, and I will go for some yards. I mean, I just don't know what Cam Baduki III is missing. He throws a dot on the money to the wide receiver. He will take it for 6. With the last play left in practice, I will tuck that ball and run it up the middle and make one miss and get a couple yards, but I get boom. After talking to coach, he said, you're ready to challenge that next string next week. Coaches gave me the chance to move up the depth chart and be quarterback number 1, and it did not start off well. And Cam Baduki III was being really patient and confident in that backfield as the offensive line was holding up, so he dumps it off to his check down as it gets open, and he will go all the way down and take it to the 1-yard line. That took my respect up for coach a lot, but rolling out of that pocket, doing what he do best, throwing that thing on the run, he threw a dot. Coach said, congratulations, you are now number 1 on that depth chart. Going into our next game against 2-0 Nebraska, started off intense. We had a read option on 2nd and 10, and Cam Baduki III will get to that next level, and he could go all the way, but he gets tackled. But going into the next play on 1st and goal, being 245, he tries to take it in, but he went down the wrong way, and he gets injured in the 1st quarter of his first start. Things just didn't start off his way, but as he returned in the 2nd quarter with 2 minutes and 32 left, and 1st and 10, as you can see, he delivers a dot to Molly, and he will go all the way. He will break some tackles and get a pretty big game. And fire Cam Baduki III up as he go in. He want to be Superman as he dives over and almost go in for 6. He is going to get what's his, but on 1st and goal, as you can see, he goes in and take us up 14-10, and we're not playing. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, he delivers a dot to the tight end for 6. Getting down to the 4th quarter, we give it to Deshaun Murrow to run that clock out and to put the icing on the cake. We go on to win the game, and I get player of the game with 2 total TDs and 278 yards. Coming into our next game against 1-2 Coastal Carolina, start off intense. On 1st and 10, as you can see, I complete a dot to Jake Bobo for a 26-yard reception. That got things started early on. On 1st and goal, Cam Baduki III will take it in for 6. No one wants to tackle him. Here, as you can see, on 2nd and 1, his favorite target as as he deliver a bomb to Jake Bobo. And as you can see, he breaks one tackle. He runs through him, and he will go all the way down for 6. That absolutely fired me up, but on 2nd and 10, I put my head down to get to that middle. And as you can see, I would juke, weave, and get up that field with bad intentions for a pretty big 24-yard rush. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 10, Cam Baduki III doing what he do best, rolling out of that pocket with bad intent. Oh, he makes him miss, and he will get up that field, but he gets tackled at the 3. And he comes up short again. But going into the next play on 2nd and 13, we have a read option, and nothing can tell you about this physicality that he has as he breaks all of these tackles. But we will go on to win the game, and I ended the game off with 2 total TDs and 167 yards. To our next game against 1-3 Utah. Started off intense on 4th and 6. As you can see, to go get that first down, Cam Baduka, boom, run him over for the first down. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 6, he completes a dot across the middle to Matt Sykes for 6. Going into the next one, 1st and 10, doing what he does best. Cam Baduka III rolling out of that pocket. I don't know where these DBs were, but the wide receiver was wide open and takes it for 6. But on 1st and goal, this 245-pound quarterback, boom, for a touchdown. He is not here to play, but on 1st and 10, when things are getting serious, he goes and gets sacked. Things are starting to go downhill. On 1st and 10, he rolls out of the pocket and thinks he found a wide receiver wide open, but he throws an interception to the opposite team, and he will try to return it, but our teammates will rally that ball and tackle him. I was in distraught, but coach told me to pick my head back up, and I go and juke in that end zone for 6, and as you can see, we will go on and win the ball game, and I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 270 yards. To our next game against 3-2 Cal. Started off intense on 1st and 10. As you can see, I completed the dot to our tight end DJ Justice, and he will run him over and go down for a pretty big game. Cam Baduki III get down to that goal line and run him over and go in for 6. As you can see on 1st and 10, he somehow, someway rolls out of the pocket and makes a crazy pass to DJ Justice again, and he runs him over. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 10, rolling out of that pocket again, doing what he does best. He throws a dot to mid out of Molly, and he drops the ball. We just cannot have those mistakes, but I connect with my favorite target, Jake Bobo, as he takes it all the way almost for 6. We're good he didn't take it in, because you know who's going to take it in. Cam Baduki III walks in for 6. Coach said, hey, get back on that field and go get 2. And I said, all right, coach, I got you. As you can see on 1st and 10, I roll out of that pocket, and it's getting down in that 4th quarter, and I try to force a pass, and it gets intercepted. And as you can see, he tries to return it, but I come down and try to lay a tackle on him. And I sure did trip him up, but I was just all in my head, and I just didn't know what to do. But I just snapped back into it, and on 1st and 10, as you can see, I roll out of the pocket again, and this time I will put that ball on that ground. I was absolutely fired up. It's 21-24. My dad had always taught me to never back down, so I completed a pass to Jake Bobo. Coach will call a timeout with 7 seconds left on that clock, but with 6 seconds left, I will run that ball in and win us the ball game. And we were fired up, but I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 233 yards. Coming into our next game against 3-3 Stanford. Started off intense. On 2nd and 10, I was staying patient in that pocket, but I will complete a pass to Logan Lawyer. He completes a big one. That's a way to take the momentum early on, but on 2nd and 10, I will lower my head and lower that shoulder and get to that first down with bad intentions. On 1st and goal, Cam Baduka III will run right up the middle for 6. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, mid out of Molly runs it out in and gets wide open and takes it for a 28-yard reception. That's all we needed for this 245-pound quarterback to run that ball as hard as he can and boom, over him for a touchdown. Just when things were getting good on 1st and 10, he overjumps the route and he gets an interception, and that was just not going our way at all. That took our momentum a tad bit, but it was 14-14 with 8 seconds left on that clock, and as you can see, Cam Baduki III will come clutch when needed, and he throws a dot across the middle. And that would just put us in great field goal position, and as you can see, we will go on and win the game with a walk-off field goal, and we were intense and fired up, and I will end the game off with 2 total TDs and 305 yards. Going into our next game against 6-2 Oregon, Cam Baduki III put that ball on the ground early on, and on 2nd and 10, he will roll out, and as you can see, he hits that sideline and goes down and boom, oh my god. He was just being a threat all night on the ground. On 4th and 8, as you can see, he hits it and goes up for another first down and jukes, but he gets brought down. Here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, he rolls out of that pocket and he will get up that field with bad intentions, break another tackle and go for the first down. Here, as you can see on 1st and goal, he tucks that ball in 245 quarterback hurdles into the end zone. Going into this next play on 1st and 10, this D lineman was keeping up with me as I rolled that pocket, but I break the tackle and complete the pass to mid out of Molly. He made sure to put those feet down like Tony Toe Tapper, but on 1st and goal, as you can see, I hand the ball off to the running back. He breaks the tackle and goes in for 6. But here, as you can see, to put the icing on the cake, we end him the old-fashioned way and nail the ball, and I get player of the game with 1 TD and 213 yards. Going into our next game against 3-4 Colorado, did not start started off intense. On 1st and 10, I rolled out of the pocket and threw the ball all the way across the field, and he almost intercepted this ball for a pick six. I put it aside and kept my head up, and on 1st and 10, I rolled out of that pocket, and as you can see, Cam Baduki III has the DB. Boom! He runs him over and gets pushed out of bounds. I just don't know what got into him, but on 3rd and 16, he was running that ball as hard as he could to get that first down, and he runs him over again. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 18, this was just not a so good game for Cam Baduki III. He throws another interception, this time to the linebacker. He goes in to try to tackle him, but his teammate brings him down. My dad always taught me to keep my head up, so I give it off to the running back on the next drive, and we going for 6. Push come to shove, I'm always gonna fight back. On 3rd and 10, as you can see, I complete a dot to mid-out of Molly for a 30-yard reception. But here, as you can see on 3rd and 2, I think Cam Baduki III has found him a new favorite target as he completes a pass to mid-out of Molly for 6. Every time something goes good, something goes bad. On 2nd and 8, I rolled out of the pocket and the linebacker throws me to the ground, and I just got back up and I could not walk straight. I don't know what was going on with my legs. Still going to win the game. I end the game off of 1 total TD and 252 yards. On to our next game against 3-5 Arizona. Started off intense. On 2nd and 11, I threw a deep pass to Cam Brown, and he was completely wide open, and he will go all the way and get pushed out of bounds. Here, as you can see on 1st and goal, I get a ball to Zach Charbonnet for 6, and he will take it in. Here, as you can see, I think I'm starting to have a problem. I'm forcing balls in that's not supposed to be thrown, and I'm just throwing interception after interception after interception. Something has to change, but on 1st and goal, as you can see, I drive down the field again, and I said I want to go up like Superman, and I will go in for 6. Here, as you can see on 3rd and 15, I throw a dot to DJ Justice, and he goes in for 6. Every time Arizona strikes, we're going to strike back with an inside zone to the running back. Going into the next play on 2nd and 2, we got a read option in Cam Baduki III. Everyone's blocked up and he lowers that shoulder and tries to go in, but he gets tackled. Running backs that we have at UCLA is going to fight to get in that end zone for another one. If we want a Pac-12 conference championship, we have to fight for it. And overtime, as you can see, Cam Baduki III will go in for 6. And that ties the game up, but on 2nd and goal, I tried to run the ball and got hit the wrong way, and I went down, and we go on and lose our first game. As you can see, I ended the game off for 3 total TDs and 379 yards. On to our next game against 5-4 Washington. Didn't start off so well. I rolled out of that pocket, but that DN was coming so hard, they rallied the ball and sacked me. Just don't know what to do. The O-line is not blocking, and they are rallying that ball as I go and get sacked again, and this time I will go down, and I think it's my ribs. I've just been hurt numerous times this season, but as you can see on 2nd and 19, they are coming and sack me for a safety this time. And I don't know what to do, but I had enough on 2nd and 10. I'm gonna tuck that ball every time they come and get to that first down with bad intentions, but I step out. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 12, the offensive line are holding up the blocks now, and I complete a pass to Jake Bobo, and as you can see, he breaks one tackle, make a miss, and keeps going. On 4th and 6, when we needed to tie the game up, DJ Justice comes through. Every time we strike, they strike back. On 2nd and 7, I complete a pass to DJ Justice, and he fights for 6, but he doesn't get it, but you know who's gonna run that ball in Cam Baduki III. Here, as you can see on 3rd and 11, the wide receiver runs a deep post, and I delivers a dot, and we go on and win the ball game, and I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 309 yards. On to our next game against 6-4 Arizona State. Started off intense. On 2nd and 3, as you can see, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket, and he has one man to beat, and he will beat him, and as you can see, he gets up that sideline with bad juke. Oh my God, he breaks another tackle and gets up the field. As you can see on 3rd and goal, he will tuck that ball and hurl up, and oh my God. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, he sits back in that pocket and completes a pass to Cam Brown, and he takes it in for 6. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, I find my tight end somewhere out there, and he will take it for a pretty big game. Getting down to the goal line, I give it off to Zach Charbonnet for 6. This time we run it up, but going into the next play on 1st and 10, I will throw a dot to mid-out of Molly. He catches that ball, and he will go for a pretty big game. Getting later in the game on 4th and 9, when we need it, I find my other favorite target, Jake Bobo. He is starting to come back alive. He is getting it done, but also Cam Baduki III is getting it done as he takes it in for 6, and we go on to win the game, and I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 369 yards. On to our next game against number 3, 10-1 USC. We have to break him off, and on 2nd and 16, I complete a pass to Logan Loya, but he steps out of bounds. Just when we were marching down the field on 1st and 10, I threw a dot, but it got intercepted, and I don't know what I was doing early on, but we were driving. After that interception, coach put me on the bench, but coming back in the 4th quarter, I throw a dot to Logan Lawyer again for 6. And it was kind of too late to make a comeback, but as you can see, I forced this pass in there and threw another interception, and I don't know what I was doing. As you can see, we going to lose a game, and with losing this game right here, we have no chance of winning the conference title, and I end the game off of 1 total TD and 109 yards. Cam Baduki III falls up short of being the Heisman, and he was 3rd contender on the list. We're going into our bowl game against 7-5 TCU. Started off intense on 1st and 10. As you can see, Cam Baduki III rolls out of the pocket and throws a dot to mid out of Molly. That gave us the momentum early on, but going into the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Baduki III rolls out of the pocket and he keeps going and throws a crazy pass to Cam Brown, but he gets boomed. He holds on to the ball, but I roll out of the pocket and throw it back across my shoulder to Jake Bobo, my favorite target, and he takes it in for 6. Here, as you can see, coming back down the field on 2nd and 4, he throws a dot to Jake Bobo again, and he takes it in for another one. We are running the score up. I hand the ball off to Zach Charbonnet for another TD. This is just a statement game going out to the Pac-12, showing that we were supposed to be conference champions, but as you can see on 2nd and 13, Jake Bobo catches a crazy one. We going to win the game, and I end the game off for 3 total TDs and 402 yards. We are bowl champions, and this is the end of Cam Baduki III freshman season. Going into my first practice of my sophomore season, I mean, we had a chip on our shoulder, and we wanted to go get that Pac-12 championship, and as you can see, I started off early running that ball and making them miss early. And I told coach I'm gonna come to practice 100% every play, and I was throwing dots. Cam Baduki III is not playing. Get in later in practice. I know the DBs we have, and I'm gonna try them every time, and I threw a dot. The coach said, great job practicing. You're in no danger of losing your starting position. Going into our first game against Virginia, started off intense. As you can see on 2nd and 9, Cam Baduki III took that ball and was not playing. He bounced it out, juke, get up that field, break a tackle, and was not playing. But going into the next drive and coming into our season opener, did not start off well. On 1st and 10, I just threw the ball up and he got intercepted early on. And as you can see, he tried to return it for 6, but we brought him down. But here, as you can see on 1st and 10, Cam Baduki III rolls out of the pocket, and as you can see, he puts a dot in his chest, but he drops the ball and it gets intercepted again. And at this point, Cam Baduki III doesn't even want to pass the ball anymore. He ran it and hurdled and tried to get in that end zone. He didn't get in that time. He will get in that next play. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, getting out to that goal line, being patient, he throws another interception. This is by far the most interception he's ever thrown. But finally on 1st and 10, he connects with his favorite target, Jake Bobo, and Jake Bobo will stiff arm into that end zone for 6. Here, as you can see on 3rd and 6, I thought I had my tight end wide open, but it gets jumped and he intercepted again. This is my 4th interception of the game, and I think I might have just lost it, but Cam Baduki III threw it up again, and that's his 5th interception that he's thrown. What's gotten into him, but he has to get it together, but he runs it in for 6. Getting late into the 4th quarter, I finally connect with my tight end for a TD, but it was too late. We going to lose the game, and I end the game off of 4 total TDs and 261 yards. Going into our next game against 1-0 Washington, started off intense on 2nd and 5. As you can see, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket, and when he runs that ball, he juke, break a tackle, breaks another one, but he gets tackled. And after losing his first game, he has had enough, and on 2nd and 2, he will run that ball in for 6. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 10, he sit backs in that pocket, and oh my God, Brandon Pegan is wide open, but he falls to the ground. And that could have been 6, but going into the next play on 2nd and 10, as you can see, I will launch that ball to mid out of Molly, and he catches that ball, but he gets shoestring. Getting out to that goal line on 1st and goal, you know that 245-pound quarterback Cam Baduki III will go in. On into the next play on 3rd and 1, I roll out of that pocket and complete a pass to Jake Bobo. He breaks a tackle, and he could go all the way, and oh my God, he is leaving him in the dust for 6. And as you can see, we will go on to win the game, and I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 242 yards. Into our next game against 0-1 Texas, as you can see, I launched that ball up, and it did not end that well. He intercepted the ball, but he will get tackled, and oh my God, what is going on? And Cam Baduki III has to get it together, but as you can see, he rolls out of the pocket, and I don't know what kind of throw that was, but he throws another interception. He is forcing every pass that he throws. If he has someone to count on, you know who he will count on, Jake Bobo. He throws a dot to him, and he will complete the pass, but he gets put straight down. But here, as you can see, going into the next play on 2nd and 10, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket, and he throws a dot to mid out of Molly, and he will get up that field, break a tackle, and he could go all the way, but he gets pushed out of bounds. Cam Baduki III, he drop backs in that pocket and throws another interception. This is this DB's 2nd interception of the game, and things just are not going his way. But when throwing that ball fails him, running that ball could never fail you. Cam Baduki III, as he gets outside, break a tackle, and he is not coming down. Getting down to that goal line here, as you can see on 3rd and 8, Cam Baduki III rolls out of the pocket. He will break one tackle and throw a magnificent pass pass to his wide receiver. That wasn't enough. We still lose the game, and I end the game off of 1 total TD and 302 yards. Going into our next game against 1-2 Utah. Started off intense. As you can see on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III throws a dot to Jake Bobo when he gets hit. Getting in great field position, we get a ball to Keegan Jones for 6. Just look how athletic Cam Paducah III is as he rolls out of that pocket and completes a magnificent dot, but he will get wrapped and rolled. But going into the next one on 1st and 10, we have a read option, and you know Cam Paducah III hits that hole, and he will go for another first down. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, it's 21-21, and I throw a dot to Keegan Jones, and he stiff arms his way, but almost gets in. Coach took me out, but we still scored. But as you can see, we end them the old-fashioned way and nailed the ball, and I ended the game off with 144 passing yards, no TDs. Going into our next game against 3-1 Colorado. Started off intense on 2nd and 8. I throw a dot to Brandon Pegan, and he tried to stiff arm him off of him. These tight ends that we have are just awesome. I complete a dot to David Preby, and he breaks a tackle, and we'll go in for 6. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 10, I'm not gonna lie, this D-line was rushing me, and they were coming, and I tripped myself up, but I got sacked, and I went down injured. I think that might have been turf toe, but on 3rd and 10, as you can see, I get hit for a safety. And I kind of didn't like how hard I got hit, but on 1st and 10, I'm gonna retaliate and throw it to Jake Bobo for a dot, but he gets hit. Going into the next play on 1st and goal, I found my running back out of the backfield, Keegan Jones, for another one. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III doing what he does special, breaking tackles, and then rolling out of that pocket and putting that ball on the ground and juking, weaving, and getting up that field with bad intentions and making all of these defenders miss. Here, as you can see on 3rd and goal, Cam Paducah III will get tripped up and fall into the end zone for 6, and we will go on to win the game. I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 221 yards. Going into our next game against 4-1 Cal. Started off intense on 1st and 10. I threw a dot to Josiah Norwood, and he almost went in for 6. Every time we get to that goal line, Cam Paducah III punches it in. We're going into the next drive on 2nd and 3. I completed pass to Michael Ezeki for another touchdown. On 2nd and 10, boom! Oh my God, he hurt me. And I wasn't taking that, so I drove down the field and punched it in again and told him where was he at. Ever since that hit, I was toting the ball as hard as I could. On 1st juke, I was getting up that field with bad intentions and throwing defenders off of me. But as you can see, we go on to end them boys the old-fashioned way and win the ball game. And as you can see, I ended the game off with 5 total TDs and 301 yards. Going into our next game against 1-2 Memphis. Started off intense on 1st and 10. As you can see, Cam Paducah III was being patient. He found no target, so he rolled out of that pocket, and he will hit that left sideline, make a miss, and as you can see, he goes down and gets boom! And he needs to start sliding more often. But going into the next one on 2nd and 10, he rolls out again and completes a dot to Michael Ezeki. He toe taps his feet down. One thing about Cam Paducah III, he is not afraid of contact. On 1st and 10, as you can see, he gets in open space, and he was zigzagging and juking and weaving and getting down. But here, as you can see on 3rd and 6, Cam Paducah III will roll out of that pocket again and outrun this D-lineman. Actually, he breaks a tackle of that D-lineman and throws a pass before he goes out of bounds, and he dives and catches it. Being down 27-13, Cam Paducah III wanted to react, so he completes a pass to Mitt Adamali, and he says goodbye, touchdown. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 2, I told you about Cam Paducah III being physical. He goes down, boom, in the end zone for 6. With 29 seconds on the clock on 1st and goal, Cam Paducah III runs it in, and we go on to win the game. And I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 258 yards. On to our next game against number 4, 5-0 Oregon. Start off intense on 1st and 10. As you can see, Cam Paducah III throws a dot to Logan Loya, but he steps out of bounds. Here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, he rolls out of the pocket and just launches a bomb up the field, but it gets intercepted by the DB, and the DB tries to return, and Cam Paducah III tries to come in and tackle him, but he misses. Going into the next play on 2nd and 4, Cam Paducah III was not being patient and forcing balls all game, and he threw another interception, and this time he tried to hit him, and he ran right past him, and things are just not going his way at all. As you can see, going to the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III tucks that ball, and he will hurdle up, but he gets put down. Here, as you can see on 3rd and goal, I said I'm gonna try again. I went up and went in for 6. But as you can see, that would be the only touchdown of the game. It is 35-7, and I break one tackle, and then I break another tackle, and I will roll out and throw it all the way across the field. Nearly gets interception, and we still go on to lose the game. And I end the game off of 1 total TD and 293 yards. To our next game against 4-4 Stanford. Started off intense. As you can see on 2nd and 11, I will roll out and throw that ball before he gets to me, and Logan Loya takes it. He breaks the tackle, and then he gets tackled. As you can see, we started off intense on 1st and goal. Cam Paducah III will take it in for 6. And we were absolutely fired up. But going into the next play on 1st and goal, I was sitting in that pocket and threw an interception. And I mean, I'm throwing an interception every game now, and that has to change. But going into the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket again and throws a dot hot and he will catch that ball and hit that left sideline, and he could go all the way, but he get pushed out. And that puts us in great position, but on first and goal, as you can see, I hit my tight end for 6. Here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III lowers his head and he will run him over. Just look how physical he is. On 1st and 10, he runs him over and somehow gets the ball to Jake Bobo, and he toe taps his feet in. Get it back down to that goal line. As you can see, I roll out of that pocket and dump it off to Logan Lawyer. He goes in for 6. We will go on to win the game, and I end the game off with 4 total TDs and 326 yards. On to our next game against 3-5 Arizona, did not start off well. On 1st and 15, I forced the ball in there and it got intercepted early on, and I mean, I don't know what's been going on with me these past weeks. Going into the next play on 2nd and 10, I have a read option. I juke, get up that field and lower my head, and no one gets in my way. Going into the next play on 2nd and 1, as you can see, I will hurdle up and try to get in that end zone, but I don't. But as you can see, on 1st and 10, I was staying patient back in that backfield, and I threw that ball up and he catches it and he will deliver and keep going for more yards. To the next play on 2nd and 10, I hit him with a pump fake and roll out of that pocket, and this D lineman was swarming me and he gets me with a sack. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, we have a fake play action, and I roll out of that pocket and hit Deshaun Murrell, and he breaks one tackle and almost goes for 6. But going into that next play on 2nd and goal, I will roll back out of that backfield and go in for a tutty. And on 1st and 10, look how I step up in that pocket and throw a laser to Logan Lawyer. Here, as you can see, on 1st and goal, Cam Paducah III was sitting, seen no target, so he tucked that ball and he will go almost for 6, but he gets stopped. But on 2nd and goal, Cam Paducah III will have a play action but runs in for 6. Going into our next play on 1st and 10, it is now 34-45, and we are down and we need to score. And as you can see, I will complete a pass to Jake Bobo, and he keeps on going up that field for more yards. As you can see, it's a little too late, but on 1st and goal, I will go in and score. And coach said we need to go for 2, so we got back on that ball, and Cam Paducah III rolls out, and as you can see, breaks a tackle and goes in, and we go on to lose the game. And I end the game off with 5 total touchdowns and 400 yards. Going into our next game against 9-0 Arizona State, we have to knock them off. But going into the first play on 1st and 10, as you can see, I connect with Jake Bobo and he fights for 6. We're driving down to that goal line every time, and I throw a laser to Logan Lawyer, and we are not playing. But on 1st and 10, as you can see, I throw another laser to Logan Lawyer, and that's a 29-yard reception. Cam Paducah III has some heart. On 1st and goal, as you can see, he rolls out of that pocket and he will go up like Superman 4-6, and he was fired up. And I just wonder, where was this at all season? I mean, we are running the score up on Arizona State, and they cannot stop us at all. And on 3rd and 13, I almost throw a dot to Jake. He dropped a one-handed pass, but as you can see, we going to win the game. I end the game off of 5 total TDs and 372 yards. Going into our next game against 5-5 USC, started off intense on 1st and 10. As you can see, I connected with Brandon Pegan early on for a 22-yard reception. Just when we were driving down the field on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III, he is still forcing passes to his wide receiver and throws an interception. I get up and lay a hit on him. But here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, I complete a pass to Brandon Pegan, and he will get up that field and lower his shoulder, but he steps out. Going into the next play on 2nd and 7, I loaded back and threw a bomb to Jake Bobo, and he will catch it on 2 defenders. The big 245-pound quarterback will punch that ball in. Going into the next play on 2nd and 4, as you can see, I'm sitting back in that pocket, and I will connect with Deshaun Murrell as he lowers that shoulder, and he lays that boom. Here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, I will roll out of that pocket, Cam Paducah III, and he will go, and he goes up, and oh my God, I about got injured. Going into the next play on 2nd and goal, I will roll out of that pocket, and Cam Paducah III goes in because he's strong. It doesn't matter how good of a game he has, we are still down 42-28. He will go out with some respect on 2nd and goal. He runs that ball, and he lays that boom for 6, and we lose the game. I end the game off with 3 rushing TDs, and as you can see, I get the Walter Camp Award, and I was the runner-up again. I was 3rd as the Heisman contender. Here was the ending of my stats from my freshman to my sophomore season, and it wasn't good. I might have had the most interceptions at quarterback in college football. With that being said, I will not attend the bowl game because I will be entering the transfer portal with 2 years of eligibility left. After having one of the worst seasons in UCLA history at quarterback, Cam Paducah III has chosen to enter the transfer portal, and he has committed to the University of Iowa. After having one of the worst seasons, Cam Paducah III has to bounce back, and as you can see, he's 2nd on that depth chart. He is not playing. He is running through juke and weaving, getting up that field with bad intentions and going for 6. And I mean, he's been in the lab all summer, and he's throwing the ball off of the back foot, doing other things that quarterbacks wouldn't do. And I think Cam Paducah III has finally found a great O-line, but he's sitting back in that pocket and loads a bomb to the wide receiver for 6. Coach said, great practice. You could challenge that next string next week. Going into my first game at the University of Iowa against North Illinois, started off not too well. I mean, the quarterback got sacked early on and things weren't going our way. I've been in this position before, riding the bench, and I know how to root my teammates on and be a great teammate and wait till till my time will come. Seconds later, coaches called me in to hold the ball for their kicker, and we will go up 7-0. Cam Paducah III has entered the game on 2nd and 20. As you can see, he rolls out of that pocket, but he will get hit. Here, as you can see, on 3rd and 15, I was sitting in that pocket, and I didn't have any receivers to throw the ball to, and I get sacked, but I end the game off for 2 rushing yards. Coach Kirk Ferentz has gave me the chance to move up the depth chart and be quarterback number 1, and I juking and getting up that field and breaking tackles and muscling up. I mean, I'm just a dog, but rolling out of that pocket, I throw a dot in my wide receiver chest, but he drops the ball. Getting later in practice, Cam Paducah III drop backs in that pocket, and then he rolls out of that pocket, and as you can see, gets out that field and jukes, he makes a miss. Oh my God! And he is the man, but after talking to coach, he said, you are now number 1 on that depth chart. Going into my first start against 2-4 FCS Midwest, started off intense. On 1st and 10, as you can see, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket, and he will gets loose, and as you can see, boom, runs right through him and breaks another tackle, and he is not playing. Over the summer, he has gotten so physical, and on 1st and 10, he rolls out of that pocket, and he will get loose, and as you can see, he could go in for 6, and he will. He was fired up with his teammates, but as you can see, on 1st and 10, I will roll out of that pocket again and connect the dot was Sam Laporta. And I mean, we were striking them every drive we got down the field. We drive down again, and on 3rd and 4, Cam Paducah III goes in with another rushing TD. But here, as you can see, on 3rd and 3, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket, and he is in trouble. The D linemen are coming, but he makes a crazy pass to Sam Laporta, and he catches it. Going into the next play, Cam Paducah III will drop back in that pocket, and he is sitting there with the great online he has and connects a dot for 6, and we will go on and win the ball game. And I get player of the game with 5 total TDs and 192 yards. On to our next game against 1-0 Iowa State, and as you can see, on 1st and 10, I started off intense by rolling out of that pocket and throwing a dot on a run to Brody Breach, and it was amazing. On 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III has a problem with tucking that ball because he is a monster, but he will go down and get hurt. But he comes back in on 2nd and 19 and rolls out of that pocket and has a wide receiver wide open. Sam Laporta will go for a 28-yard reception. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, my tight end absolutely did this DB the worst way and caught a touchdown. But going into the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III will tuck that ball and run straight up that middle, juke, and he will stay coast to coast, breaks a tackle, and he will almost go, but he gets brought down. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III was sitting in that pocket being patient, and he throws a dot, and it gets intercepted by the linebacker, and he tries to go for 6, and Cam Paducah III tries to come over, but he throws me off of him, and he gets hit by my teammates, and things are just going downhill. But as you can see, we end them the old-fashioned way and nail the ball, and as you can see, we go on and win the game, and I get player of the game with 1 TD and 316 total yards. Going to our next game against 2-1 Western Michigan. As you can see, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket, and he will get up that field and get a first down. Here, as you can see, on 2nd and goal, he somehow, someway escapes and get in that end zone for 6. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, we have a play action, and I roll out of that pocket because that's my best thing to do, and I will throw a dot on a run to Sam Laporta. He breaks a tackle, but he gets brought down. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I will roll out of that pocket again and throw another dot to Sam Laporta, but he was just short of the touchdown. We have a handoff to Caleb Johnson for a 1-yard TD. We're going to our next play on 1st and 10. I was sitting in that pocket, found no target, so I will get up that field with bat into juke, we even getting up that field, and we'll go for a pretty big yard gain. And oh my God, that was disgusting, but on 2nd and 11, I was just short of that touchdown. But getting pushed back on 3rd and goal, I will punch that ball in for 6. Cam Paducah III is not here to play, and as you can see, we win the game, and I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 207 yards. On to our next game against 2-2 Minnesota. Started off intense. On 2nd and 8, I will roll out of that pocket, and Cam Paducah III makes an amazing pass to Brody Breach. Going into the next play on 3rd and 8, my wide receiver had an out route, and I connected with Arlen Brewster Fifth. I'm a 245-pound quarterback, so Cam Paducah III will run it in for 6. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, you might as well label me as a running back as I roll out of that pocket, and look how hard I will run. Boom! Run him over, and I will go for a couple yards. On 1st and goal, sitting in that pocket, I connected dot to Sam Laporta. I'm not gonna lie, we started to run that score up a little bit, but on 1st and 10, I lay a bomb to Arlen Brewster Fifth, and that was amazing. Sitting in the pocket with the great O-line I have, I throw a dot to Sam Laporta, and he goes in for another TD. On 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket what he loves the best, and he has no targets to throw it to. He will break a tackle. When we lower that head, you better get out of his way. As you can see, we are up 35-16, and we will run out of that clock to go on and win the ball game, and I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 279 yards. To our next game against 2-2 Michigan, start off intense. As you can see, I roll out of that pocket, and just look how hard I will run that ball. I juke and break so many tackles and lower my shoulder. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, Sam Laporta absolutely lost this DB and went in for 6. Driving back down the field, I will hand it off to Caleb Johnson to go in for another TD. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 7, we have a play action, and I throw a dot to Sam Laporta, and he will get up that field for a 33-yard reception. But on 1st and 10, I'm scanning all of my targets, and Brody Breach gets wide open, and he will go in for 6. But here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, I will roll out of this pocket, and Arlen Bruce the 5th is wide open, and he could go all the way, but he steps out of bounds. But you know the 245 quarterback on 1st and goal will pound that ball in for 6, and he was fired up. He said he is coming. But on 1st and 10, look how special he is rolling out of that pocket. Cam Baduki the 3rd lowers, boom, oh my God, he makes him look crazy. And that was an amazing run, but we give it off to Caleb Johnson to take it in for 6 and put the icing on the cake, and we go on to win the game, and I get player of the game with 5 total TDs and 372 yards. On to our next game against number 9, 5-1 Ohio State. Started off intense. On 2nd and 4, I connected a dot to Brody Breach early on. And here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I will roll out of that pocket, and I was juking and weaving and getting to that 1st down with bad intention. But going into the next play on 3rd and 19, I threw the ball absolutely too hard and tried to fit it in there, and it got intercepted by the linebacker, and that was on me. I didn't mean to do that. I cannot go back to my old ways. But going into the next play on 2nd and 15, I will throw a bomb to Nico Regani. That was a big game for us that we needed, being down 7-3. But going into the next play on 3rd and goal, I will roll out of that pocket and go in for 6. Here, as you can see, we are down by 1 point, and on 3rd and 9, we'll roll out of that pocket, and Cam Baduki the 3rd, he is dangerous when he boom, oh my God, he made him look crazy. That's a way to run the ball as hard as you can. But on 1st and 10, I will throw a dot to Luke Lachey. We're going to nail the ball and put the icing on the cake, and we're going to win the game, and I get player of the game with 2 total TDs and 268 yards. Going into our next game against 5-2 Northwestern, did not start off intense. On 1st and 10, Cam Baduka the 3rd rolls out of the pocket, and he forces this pass in there, and it gets intercepted early on. And I'm getting flashbacks from UCLA, but I just get sacked by this D lineman, and things are not going well. On 4th and 21, Cam Baduka the 3rd said he's going to put his pride aside and go get that 1st down and maybe more, but he gets shoestring. Going into the next play on 2nd and 1, I will hit that middle and go up like Superman and get 6. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I see no DBs and no linebackers, and I could go all the way for 6, and I will do so. Going into the next play on 2nd and inches, it was getting a rush, so Cam Baduka the 3rd rolls out of that pocket and hurdles up, and he almost breaks his back, but he stayed relentless, and on 1st and goal, he broke a tackle and goes in for 6. With 8 seconds on the clock, I give it off to Caleb Johnson, and he hits that hole, and no one can catch him. He will go all the way for 6. We will go on to win the game, and as you can see, I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 326 yards. Into our next game against 6-1 Wisconsin. Started off intense. On 1st and 10, Cam Baduka the 3rd rolls out of the pocket and connects with Sam Laporta early on. But going into the next one on 1st and 10, I will roll out of that pocket again, and this time I'm gonna put it on the ground and I make him miss, and I have one man to beat, and he could go all the way, but he gets brought down. As you can see on 1st and 10, I roll out again, and Sam Laporta is my favorite target for 6. Going into the next play on 2nd and 6, I will roll out of that pocket. I am not playing. Oh my God, juke. Oh my God, I made a miss, and I juke, and oh my God, I'm just getting started. And that could have went for a pretty big game. But on 2nd and 10, I was not being patient and slung the ball up, and it got intercepted, and things started to go downhill. But it was one thing to do to pick it back up, and on 1st and goal, boom! Oh my God, Cam Baduka the 3rd is a monster, and he is not here to play, but he throws another forced pass, and it gets intercepted again, and this is his 2nd interception of the game. And it is now 24-24, but on 1st and 10, I was just being patient. The D-line was giving me no rush. They put me on a contain, so I throw a dot to Sam Laporta, and they must be crazy. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 9, somehow, some way, I got stuck in a muddy situation, but I found a way out of it and hit that hole, and I juked, but I get boom. Being down by 4 points, I had to come up with something, and on 1st and 10, Sam Laporta was wide open and goes all the way for 6. But it was coming down to the knot, and on 1st and goal, I'll go in overtime for 6. It was 41-41, so I put my pride aside and said, I'm gonna put the team on my back and juke. Oh my God, I made all 3 of them a miss, and I will go on to win the game for my team. And as you can see, I will go on and get player of the game with with 6 total TDs and 318 yards. On to our next game against 5-3 Purdue. Started off intense. On 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III was stuck and he broke a tackle and ran right up that middle and juke and got that first down with bad intentions. Starting off as intense as Cam Paducah III did, on 1st and 10, he was just sitting in that pocket and throws a forced pass and it gets intercepted. But on 2nd and 1, these teams are starting to contain Cam Paducah III and he rolls out of the pocket and gets sacked for a pretty big tackle for loss. On to the next play on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III will roll out of that pocket. He said he doesn't care if you contain him. He's gonna boom you and get in that end zone with bad intentions. He is a monster, and on 1st and goal, he will run up that middle and boom, he runs him over. Oh my God. But on 1st and 10, we are down 31-19 and I force another pass and it get intercepted again, and he is definitely going back to his old ways and he cannot just get out of it. But there is no time for us to come back and no chance. But on 1st and 10, I will gain my stat line up and throw a dot to Sam Laporta on the run, but he goes out of bounds. But as you can see, we're going to lose the game, and I end the game off with 2 total TDs and 264 yards. On to our next game against number 16, 8-2 Michigan. On 1st and goal, started off intense. I throw a dot in the back of the end zone to Brody Breach to start the game off. And we were not playing. We were driving down that field every time we get the ball, and I complete another pass to Brody Breach. Here, as you can see, on 1st and goal, Cam Paducah III will run right up that middle and go in for 6. But going into the next play on 2nd and goal, we drive down the field again, and Cam Paducah III is going in for another one. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, I roll out of that pocket again, and as you can see, I get up that field, juke weaving to get up that field, but I will get put down. But going into the next play on 3rd and 1, as you can see, I was sitting in that pocket and I roll out of the pocket, and as you can see, I throw a dot to Deontay Bonds. He breaks a tackle and will go all the way for 6. Here, as you can see, on 1st and goal, I drop back in that pocket and they were containing me, so I was just sitting there. I had crossing routes and I forced a pass that should not have been forced, and I threw another interception. On to our next play on 2nd and 7, somehow, some way, Cam Paducah III was on a contain, but he rolls out of the pocket and he did not run that ball. He throws it to Arlen Bruce V for a pretty big yard gain. But here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I feel if Cam Paducah III is under pressure, he just folds. But as you can see, they were rushing me and I threw something that should not have been thrown and the ball gets intercepted, and that was totally on me. We still going to win the game, and I get player of the game with 5 total TDs and 370 yards. On to our next game against 7-4 Nebraska. Started off intense. On 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket and boom, over him for a touchdown. We're driving back down to the goal line again. At 245 quarterback will roll out and go in for 6. But here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I hit him with a pump fake and then I break a tackle, and as you can see, I will throw a dot to Sam Laporta and he will get up that field with bad intentions and throw him off of it. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I throw a head tap on his head, but the wide receiver dropped the ball. On 1st and goal, that 245-pound quarterback will boom, oh my God, for a TD. Going into the next play on 3rd and 21, Cam Paducah III throws a dot to Sam Laporta, and that linebacker just couldn't catch up. But going into the next play on 3rd and goal, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket and goes in for a TD. Here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, I have a QB draw in Cam Paducah III could, and he would go to distance and nobody will catch him, and just look at the amazing speed that he has. And as you can see, we go on and win the ball game, and I get player of the game with 7 total TDs and 286 yards. Going into the Big Ten Conference Championship against 8-4 Penn State, did not start off well. On 1st and 10, I will get sacked by the D-line. Going into the next play on 2nd and goal, Cam Paducah III hits the hole and he will go in for 6. But here, as you can see, on 2nd and 12, Cam Paducah III rolls out of the pocket and throws a dot to Brody Breach, and he will goes in for 6. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, we have a play action, but I roll out of the pocket and complete a pass to Sam Laporta, but he gets boomed. Oh my God. But here, as you can see, on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket and completes a dot to Brody Breach. Oh my God. We are not playing around early on, but we're up 31-21, and I throw a dot, but it gets intercepted by the D lineman by throwing it off my back foot. But we end in the old-fashioned way and go and nail the ball. And we are conference champions, and you don't know how hard it was for Cam Paducah III. But as you can see, I end the game off with 2 TDs and 294 yards. Cam Paducah III, time finally has came. He is the Heisman this year. As you can see, he going to win the Robert Maxwell Award. He also wins the Walter Camp Award, and he also picks up the Davy O'Brien Award. And as you can see, we are in the playoffs, and we go against Georgia. On into the round 1 of the playoffs, we're going against 12-1 Georgia, and they are number 1, so we have to come out intense. And on 2nd and 6, Cam Paducah III has come and boom, boomed him. Oh my God. And I refuse to go home. And on 2nd and 12, I roll out of that pocket and that D-line is swarming that ball and I will get sacked. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 9, I will have a read option and juke. Oh my God, look at his ankles. Where are they going? And I will throw him off of me and going for 6. Going into the next play, we have another read option. I juke and oh my God, they are not going. But I spin and throw him off of me and I will go down and get injured and things are not going well. But I told coach I'm not going to be injured. I came back on that field and on 2nd and goal, I will go in for 6. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, we are down 28-13 and I'm giving it all I got and I am injured. But as you can see, I get brought down again and this time it was my ribs and I was hurt for the game. I really gave it all I got, but they will advance to the national championship and I ended the game off of 2 total TDs and 226 yards. This is the end of Cam Baduki III junior season. Going into my first practice of my senior season, start off intense. As you can see, I was juking and weaving and getting up that field with bad intentions on the first play of practice. So them boys, if they not coming to win a ring, then you might as well leave right now. But as you can see, I start off intention, threw a dot to my wide receiver. He went in for 6. The end practice on a good note, I ran that ball and boom, ran him over. But as you can, boom, oh my God, he hit me hard. But coach told me great practice and you're in no danger of losing your starting position. On into our home opener against Ball State, start off intense. As you can see on 2nd and 5, I was sitting in the pocket scanning all of my targets, but I couldn't find anyone. But I laid that boom on this defender and got up that field with bad intentions. This is the year that we step up to the plate and go get that national championship. But as you can see, I deliver a dot on 2nd and 10 to Tracy Conley and he will go for 6. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I drop back in that pocket and you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tuck that ball because I'm 245 pounds and I will lay that boom all night. Here, as you can see on 1st and goal, when things started to get good, I rushed the pass off of my back foot and threw my first interception of this season. I just cannot get back into that loophole. It is not good for me once I get it started. But on 1st and 10, when my team needed and we are down, I lay that boom to go get that first down. Going into the next play on 3rd and 3, as you can see, I roll out of that pocket like I do best and I will scan all of my targets and I found one down the field, Caleb Johnson for 6. Now, as you can see, it is 24-24 with 3 minutes left on that clock and on 1st and 10, I throw a dot to Tracy Conley to try to score, but he drops the ball. But I was always taught to not cry about it and to go about your business and I throw a dot to Luke Lachey and he goes in for 6. We go ahead and nail the ball to put the icing on the cake, but as you can see, we're going to win the game and I end the game off of 4 total TDs and 338 yards. On to our next game against 1-0 Iowa State. It started off intense. On 2nd and 10, we had a play action, but I would roll out of that pocket and I told Tracy Conley to go up the field and I lobbed the pass and he caught a dot and threw him off on him, but he gets tackled. We get all the way down the field on 1st and goal, but this D lineman was coming with bad intentions and sacked me. On 2nd and 2, I said there's no choice. I'm gonna get in that end zone and throw a dot to Deontay Vines. Every time Cam Baduki III gets a hold of that ball, we're gonna drive down that field every time and I throw a dot to Tracy Conley. Like I said, we were trying to run this score up this game and I threw another TD to Luke Lachey. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, Cam Baduki III is scanning all of his targets, so he rolls out of that pocket and he's gonna be patient and throw a dot to Tracy Conley and he will get up that field for 34-yard reception. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 1, I will roll out of the pocket and I was scanning all my targets. My receivers were locked up. I didn't have nowhere to throw the ball and the D-line was rallying that ball and I got hit pretty hard. And this time I went down with a bad injury and I've been injured a lot throughout my career and this one hurt. After being out for the rest of the game, we will go on to win the game and I get player of the game with 3 total TDs and 314 yards. Coming into our next game against 1-1 Boston College. Start off intense. On 1st and goal, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket and he will go in for 6 to start the game off. And that's one thing about Cam Baduki III this year. Every time he touched that ball, he wants to go score. But as you can see, he booms run him over Chilk. Oh my God. And he gets up that field with bad intentions. 1st and goal, you know who's getting that ball, that 245-pound quarterback Cam Baduki III. But on 1st and 10, we get a read option and I get boomed. I didn't too much like that. But as we were driving down that field again and on 2nd and goal, I punched the ball in for 6 again. And on 1st and 10, I throw a dot to Alec Wick. And that put us in perfect position to punch the ball and I give a halfback dive to the running back and he will take it in for 6 and we go and nail the ball to end the game off. Boston College was fighting, but they didn't fight hard enough. But as you can see, we go on to win the game and I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 470 yards. To our next game against 1-2 Pitt did not start off intense. On 1st and 10, I drop back in that pocket and I get sacked for a negative 10-yard loss. But here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I drop back in that pocket and I deliver a dot to Brody Breach for a 23-yard reception. Here, as you can see on 1st and goal, I wanted to run that ball and this linebacker hit me so hard he welcomed me like I was a freshman. And I said, you want to hit me that hard on 3rd and goal? I said, hit me hard again. I will run outside and score on you. I'm not scared. I am a 245-pound quarterback, so you better watch out. But on 1st and 10, as you can see, I roll out of that pocket and I will throw a dot to Alec Week. It was a 42-yard reception, but going into the next play on 1st and 10, we are down 24-7, and something has to give. And I throw it all the way across the field, and it gets intercepted. And I don't know why I threw that pass. That was just a not needed pass, and it turned into a big game for the defense. And now they're putting the offense in great position. But with 18 seconds left in the third quarter, I put my pride aside and said I want to win this ball game. We're down 31-7, and I went in for 6. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 2, I'm not playing. I complete a dot to Deontay Bonds, and I said we are gonna make this comeback. And I don't care what it takes. And on 1st and goal, it is 20-34, and I went in to take us 27-34. Time was a huge factor. We go on and lose the ball game, and I end the game off of 4 total TDs and 321 total yards. On to our next game against 0-4 Minnesota, we were in bad position early on, and on 2nd and 30, Cam Baduki III throws him off of him, and he's gonna make something out of nothing to Addison Ostringer. When you need that player to get you out of a hole, Cam Baduki III on 3rd and 20, he throws a dot to Tracy Conley, and he could and he would go for a 66-yard reception. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 15, dropping into that pocket, Luke Lachey was wide open. I dumped it off to him for the first touchdown of the game. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 9, oh my God, Cam Baduki III is breaking tackles out there, and he will complete a pass to Tracy Conley. On 2nd and 22, I mean, the seams were wide open all game, and I was throwing dots to Luke Lachey all day. But just because I'm a good passer, you can't forget about when I put that ball on that ground, and on 1st and 10, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket, and he could, boom, oh my God, but he got tripped up. And I mean, he is just a monster, and on 2nd and 10, he rolls out of that pocket, and he throws a dot to Tracy Conley, and I mean, he's having a spectacular game. Getting later in that 4th quarter, on 3rd and 3, as you can see, I step back in that pocket, and I deliver a dot to Addison Ostringer. That puts us in great position to score, and on 2nd and goal, Cam Baduki III gets a QB draw. He bounces it outside and goes in for 6. We will go on to win the ball game, and I get player of the game with 6 total TDs and 481 yards. Going into our next game against number 25-1 Michigan State, on 1st and 10, started off intense. Cam Baduki III wanted to go in for 6, but he just couldn't get there. Here, as you can see on 2nd and goal, after being pushed back, he said he was gonna get there regardless, and boomed it to the end zone. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I thought I had my tight end wide open, but I threw an interception right to the middle linebacker that was right in front of me, and that was totally on me. But going into the next play on 1st and 10, we are down 30-7, and it's something has to give, and these D linemen were coming, so I threw a dot all the way up the field to Luke Lachey. And I looked at Luke Lachey, and he looked at me back and said, I want it. So I gave him the ball again, and he goes in for 6, and we were absolutely fired up. At this point, we had no chance to win the game. With 10 seconds, it's 56-22, but I throw it down to Alec Week. But as you can see, we're going to lose the game, and Payton Thorne had a better game than me. And I have to do better. I ended the game off of 2 total TDs and 344 total yards. On to our next game against 4-2 Northwestern. Started off intense. On 1st and 10, as you can see, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket and throws a dot to Brody Breach, and he goes for a 26-yard reception. On 1st and 10, on the slant, I throw a dot to Addison Ostringer for 6. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, Cam Baduki III, he sees no safeties, no linebackers, so he will touch that ball and juke and get up that boom. Oh my God, he will go all the way, and this could be the best run in history. He is an absolute monster. But on 1st and 10, as you can see, before I got hit, I threw a dot to Luke Lachey, and he gets up that sideline, and he could and he would get pushed out of bounds. That put us in great field position. But on 1st and goal, Cam Baduki III, you cannot beat him to that edge as I go in for 6. And coach came up to me and said, hey Cam, take their top off. So I said, okay coach, I got you. And on 1st and 10, I threw a dot to Tracy Conley as he go for a big game. To put the icing on the cake, I throw a dot to Luke Lachey for 6, and we will go on and win the ball game. And I get player of the game with 8 total TDs and 393 yards. On to our next game against 2-5 Purdue. Did not start off intense. On 3rd and 10, I had a wide receiver wide open, and he did not get the ball at all. And I was kind of frustrated because that was a touchdown. But on 1st and 10, as you can see, Cam Baduki III rolls out of that pocket and completes a dot to Brody Breach, and he goes in for 6. And here, as you can see on 1st and 10, he will roll out of that pocket again. And as you can see, juking, weaving, and getting up that field, but he gets pushed out of bounds. And if he doesn't get in that first down, that 245 quarterback Cam Baduki III will get in the second time for 6. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, Tracy Conley absolutely beats the DB off of the line and goes all the way for 6. Cam Baduki III doing Cam Baduki things, running him over and trying to get in that end zone with bad intentions, and he will do so, and he is a hard runner. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, Deontay Bonds takes his top off for 6, and we will go on to win the ball game. And as you can see, I get player of the game with 6 total TDs and 455 total yards. On to our next game against 8-1 Wisconsin. Did not start off well. On 2nd and 14, I mean, I got sacked by this D-line. They were coming. Here, as you can see, going into the next play on 1st and 10, I complete a dot to Tracy Conley. And that was a spectacular catch, but on 1st and goal, I will roll out of that pocket and throw a dot to Addison Ostringer for Sid. I mean, it's like every time we score, Wisconsin was striking back, but Luke Lachey was wide open on this touchdown. They couldn't stop us. Honestly, they just couldn't. But on 1st and goal, I will roll out of that pocket and Cam Paducah III will get in that end zone. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 17, to put the icing on the cake and get Wisconsin this L, we got Tracy Conley wide open for a touchdown. I mean, I had a spectacular game. We going to win the game. I get player of the game with 7 total TDs and 399 yards. On to our next game against 3-6 Illinois. Did not start off so well. On 2nd and 24, I launched the ball up and thought my wide receiver was wide open, but this DB absolutely jumped the route. Cam Paducah III was not off to a good start. On 2nd and 9, he rolls out of the pocket. He will break a tackle and he will force a pass, and it's another interception, and this time he tries to return it, but we will bring him down. But here, as you can see on 1st and 10, I will roll out of that pocket, and on this quarter round, I hit Jacob Bosky for 6. And driving down that field again, Cam Paducah III will go in for a TD, and we were absolutely running the scoreboard up. I hit Addison Ostringer across the middle for 6. Going into the next play on 1st and 10, I will step up into that pocket, but roll back out of that pocket and throw that ball on a run, and the wide receiver catches the ball, and he could and he would go all the way, and we were fired up, and we were also running that scoreboard up. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III rolls out of the pocket, and to put the icing on the cake, he juke and weaving and getting up that field, and oh my god, he made them all look crazy, and we going to win the ball game. And as you can see, I get player of the game with 5 total TDs and 377 total yards. On to our next game against number 15, 8-2 Michigan. Started off intense on 2nd and 2. Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket, and he could get missing. They picked up the blocks, and he will hurdle up, but he gets boom! Oh my god. Here, as you can see on 2nd and 10, Deontay Bonds is wide open, and I seen him late, but I will complete the dot for 6. And that was an amazing touchdown, but on 2nd and 10, this D-line was coming, and they laid a big hit on me. Every time you hit me, I will react, and on 2nd and goal, I drive down that field and score. Here, as you can see on 3rd and 5, I was under a lot of pressure and got a big hit laid on me, and you know I've been injured a lot, so I go down at the wrong moment, but I come back in overtime, and Cam Paducah III will go win this team that game. We're going to win the game, and I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 252 yards. On to our next game against 4-7 Nebraska. Started off intense. On 3rd and 6, Cam Paducah III rolls out of the pocket and completes a dot to Luke Lachey, and he throws him off of him. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, that put us in great position, and I will run that ball in and hurdle in for 6. Going into the next play on 3rd and 7, I will roll out of the pocket and throw it on the run to Tracy Conley for a big touchdown. We are running the score up. It is 31-6, and coach is finna take me out of the game, but I break a tackle and throw another dot to Tracy Conley, and he gets up the field with bad intentions, but we're going to win the game. I get player of the game with 4 total TDs and 364 yards. Going into our conference championship game against number 1, 12-0 Ohio State. Started off intense. On 2nd and 6, Cam Paducah III threw it on the run to Deontay Bonds, and he gets up that field early. Here, as you can see on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III rolls out of that pocket, and he's gonna run that ball, so you better boom, watch out. I'm not playing with you. This is the conference championship game. Going into the next play on 3rd and 7, I roll out of that pocket and throw a dot to Luke Lachey for 6. And that takes us up by 3. But going into the next play, as you can see on 1st and 10, I throw a dot to Jacob Bostic. We are only down by 4 points, but on 1st and 10, I was making mistakes. I was running backwards, and they got me for a safety. Now we have to go down that field and score, but on 1st and 10, Cam Paducah III drops in that pocket. He has no one open, but he thinks he does and throws an interception, and that right there will go on and lose us the game, and that was on me. And Cam Paducah III has worked so hard to get where he was at, but this is his senior season, and this might just be it for him. But on a good note, Cam Paducah III has won Heisman back-to-back, but drop a comment down below if you think Cam Paducah III will survive in the NFL, or drop a comment down below who do you want to see next. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.